unique New York.
Episode 2.
Welcome back to another wonderful listening or watching episode of Inside Hilton's Head with your host, Hilton and his head. And my co-host and wonderful co-captain, Molly Lee.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Molly. How are you?
I'm good.
Had a good week?
It's been a good week.
It's been a good week. A lot has been happening this past week.
Yes.
One of our favorite holidays.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to it every year.
Do you think everyone knows about this holiday?
I mean, everyone should.
It's
a national holiday.
It is a national holiday. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, you're like, what did I miss? And why wasn't I off of work for this? We're talking about National Plant Appreciation Day.
Correct. Woo!
If we do sound design on this, let's add like a clap, a woo, like what you
like
just
a crowd
did.
Audience.
As we should, because
that.
this is an important day, folks. Like,
Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Because houseplant, because we don't want you thinking you need to go outside to appreciate your outdoor plants or any tree.
Correct.
Is Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Yep.
So last week was National Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Yep.
I'll tell you more about how I spent my day appreciating my plants. Molly, how did you spend your day appreciating your houseplants?
It started out like any other day. And then, I looked at my calendar and realized it's the special day of the year where I appreciate my houseplants.
Because basically the other 606,
Oh, hey-o.
I don't know how many days are in a year, but it feels to me like there's like 600. But the 364 days of the year.
No, I could not care less about my plants. And this one day out of the year, I'm like, wow, I appreciate you. And they're like, thank you. Today is my day to be appreciated.
Do you treat the other babies in your life like this?
No. My fur babies, which are the only babies I have, are appreciated every other day. And then this one day out of the year, I only and strictly appreciate my plants and nothing else.
So tell me, what does appreciation of said plants look like to you?
For me, it starts with looking at them, which, I also don't do very often.
Okay. So,
and not just from afar, but, close up.
You're making eye contact.
Yeah, I make eye contact with each plant.
Okay.
I tell them how grateful I am for their existence and for thriving even through my very neglectful habits of ignoring them at most other days.
I like your self-awareness.
My plants appreciate that too.
Of course.
They appreciate my honesty and my feedback, and we go from there. But I'll start out by saying that I have 50 plus plants right now, probably right around 50.
Is that your sweet spot? Or
I still want to downsize.
Oh, you're trying to loot.
You're trying
to decrease the amount of plants you have.
Yes.
Okay, so in that process, are we decreasing the amount by gifting the ones you have, or are you like slowly, because you did say you only spend one day out of the year appreciating them, or are you just slowly letting some just go?
No. I mean, I do believe a little neglect goes a long way.
Never. I've never heard that ever.
We can actually take that even further. I think neglecting a plant's much better for the plant than helicopter parenting a plant. The issues you face from overwatering a plant is far greater than if you underwater a plant.
Molly, I hear I used to work at a plant shop. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
All that, yes, I agree with some of that, but it all depends on the type of plant parent collector you are.
Correct.
I mean, if someone is collecting nothing but calathea,
true,
and you're like neglect them, they're dead in 2 days.
And that's why I don't have calatheas.
If they are being a helicopter parent to those plants,
they
are going to be so great.
For sure.
They're going to love what their what would you call, what is the essence of a helicopter parent? Is it I don't know if I can say this on our podcast, but is it being anal?
I think it kind of is type A.
Type A, like you're just
checking in on them often. Yeah. Making sure they have everything they need.
For sure. You know? So I think that works for someone who has those types of plants. But if you're someone who's like, I love cacti, I love succulents, I love snake plants.
Yes.
What you're saying there, being a helicopter parent, it will be no good.
For sure. So there is a plant for everybody.
There is a plant
and I figured out my sweet spot of what plants work for me. And that's why I don't have ferns. I don't do calatheas.
Smart.
I don't do those because they don't do well under my care. And we found that out the hard way. It was trial and error. And then I gave up. There is a certain fern that I did try 7 different times and did not succeed any of those times. Shout out to all the dead heart ferns out there.
Heart fern.
They're so cute.
A heart fern is very cute. Maybe that's a good gift for some of you lovers out there.
Yeah.
You know, you only have about, 28 days until you have to appreciate the one that you love.
A human.
That is human. That is that's I don't know, partner appreciation day.
Yeah.
Right?
Or anyone you love in your life.
Or anyone you love. Yeah. Because I'm gonna give my daughter a Valentine's.
As you should.
As well. But that's the one day.
Yes.
Because there's no
because every other day you don't appreciate that.
I know. Why would I? Yeah. You know what, Molly? I'm so glad you asked how I spent my National Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Sorry, I was still stuck on all the ferns I've killed in my past.
Yeah,
and kind of taking a moment there.
All the heart-shaped
I almost requested a moment of silence there for that.
And you know that's your top body count one, right?
Yeah, that's my top body count.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's other ones that are like 3. You've killed 3 of this, 2 of that before. Still working on others in your home.
You definitely lean more helicopter.
No,
I've seen you interact with your plants.
No, well, for National Houseplant Appreciation
Day.
I'm one of the ones that say we should appreciate our houseplants every day.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? Because I appreciate you at least 4 days out of the week.
That's good. I'll take that.
I appreciate you at least 4 days out of the week. We work together.
We do.
So it's important to share your care for those that are in your life. And I feel like for me, I surround myself with plants on a daily basis. I want to have, I don't see it as helicopter parenting, but that check-in, not only with my wife, my daughter, my dog, but also with my plants. Because I do have some plants that need more of that, but also, like we've spoken about this before, like I find a little zen in the process of plant care or plant parenting. So it provides me with that. So to appreciate my plant day, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but maybe you saw me on the Today Show, right? Like appreciating plants there.
Yeah, and sharing your appreciation for them.
And sharing my appreciation. And while I was there, I appreciated all those who surrounded me and helped me on the process of sharing the appreciation for plants.
For sure.
So I think it's interesting, one, to live in a time where these random weird days become a thing.
Everything. I mean, National Mac and Cheese Day.
Hey, good day. Is this on your calendar? Like, why'd you even bring that one up? That's definitely something. Listen,
it's March 24th. I'm kidding.
Listen, we're only 2 episodes in, and you already know for a fact that what I said in our first episode, Molly, she eats.
I love eating.
She has a real passion.
I do.
Would you consider yourself, now we're off on a different subject, would you consider yourself a foodie?
You know, I just feel like the term foodie gets such a bad rap, and I don't know if I want to define myself as one. I care about food. It brings me unbridled joy. I'll do a lot to seek out good food.
So you love to consume it.
I love consuming it. Do you love
to make the food?
I love making the food.
Okay.
Especially Korean food, because you just can't find the price point and the flavor in my area.
The price point in the flavor.
Yeah, that's hard.
Okay.
It's either pricey and delicious for Korean food or cheap and not as good. The worst is when it's pricey and not good.
That's the worst.
But, I want that home flavor. And Korean food
and home
is so...
for you is?
Korea.
Seoul,
where I was born and raised. My parents still live there. I grew up eating so much Korean food that I can't go very long without consuming Korean food. Like, I literally feel like sick.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I know.
So you're suggesting that we have a national Korean food appreciation
I bet you
day.
That exists. We'll have to fact check that, but I bet you it exists.
If it did exist,
yes,
and maybe it does,
yes.
But if the fact that we don't know,
can I get on the board of that committee? You would
get on the board of the committee and make that a day. On that day, Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, turkey. Everyone has turkey on the table. National Korean Food Appreciation Day. Yep. What is the meal that is being served?
My favorite kind, and it's a little different than what has been the trend for Korean food restaurants in the States, but it's really more home style cooking, which usually is some type of soup, like maybe a fish-based or like seaweed-based soup or stew.
I'm a soup man
obviously,
myself.
hot bowl of rice, obviously at least one type of kimchi, and then some type of protein, which usually is like a fish, like a grilled fish, or belly. It's, a marinated meat. But fish and all seafood is super cheap and delicious in Korea and fresh because we're a peninsula. So you're just surrounded by water, all the access to great fish. And it's considered something that is a cheaper protein to put on a dinner table as opposed to, beef or even pork. And so I just grew up eating that. It's just such a comforting flavor profile to me that it's how I feel appreciated is when I'm eating Korean food. It's how I appreciate myself. What would your last meal be?
Tapas.
Really? Spanish tapas?
No. Is that what tapas means?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like Spanish small little plates?
Oh, yeah. Okay, small plates, but not just Spanish food.
Okay.
Like a little bit of bulgogi.
That feels like a cheating answer for your last meal to just say you'll have a bite of everything. I don't know.
A little bit is what they say. It's my last meal. I get what I want, right? And I'm an only child, so I typically
get what you want.
What I want.
Yeah, every other day too.
But here's a question for you. Mm-hmm. How is the plant game in Korea? Are people as plant excited, ecstatic? Mm-hmm. Are they plant parenting the way we have done here in the States, or as you see in like Europe, or as you see in South America? Are they excited for greenery, or is this like that stuff's outside?
Yeah.
In some of these places. Well, I know that Korea is kind of like here.
Mountainous and cold it's cool. Well, we have all 4 seasons.
What is that? Are there indoor jungles?
Yes. The plant trend in Korea is really interesting to me. I find that a lot of trends that happen in Korea are things that either never really happened here or are things that happened here in the States, but like 5 to 10 years behind. Plant trend for me is either, and I think it's similar here, is like there are older people like my grandmother's generation, including my grandmother who lives in Korea, who have these like incredible indoor gardens.
Yeah.
Like she grows pomegranate trees indoors and she's had them for decades.
Wow.
But in Korea, most people live in apartments in Seoul, and the apartments have like I guess we call it a veranda, but they're like an enclosed balcony space. Mm-hmm. It's usually where like your laundry and dryer go, or like anything like storage related goes there.
Yeah.
A lot of people convert that into their own sort of garden space.
Got it.
Because it gets the best light.
Sure.
And because, you can open, the blinds to that and the windows to that in the summer. And it's just this nice little tiny feature. So my grandma had that. So there are people who have that sort of aspect to them, and they're older usually in generation. And then the new plant trend is definitely happening. Planterior styling is happening.
Hey.
Boutique plant shops are opening. Plant cafes are opening. I mean, that is definitely hitting Korea hard.
Korea, I'm coming. I'm coming. We're coming. We're going.
We gotta go.
Now, I love that you have me on plant trends, because obviously you said Korea's behind.
Yep.
We here have been already in that That's how we're here.
And the boutique plant business is also like fairly new in the States. It's always been like garden centers and your local nurseries who happen to sell indoor and outdoor plants, and to concentrate just on indoor plants and beautiful handmade pots, as a part of like your interior design is something pretty new.
It's fairly new. And now it's becoming a thing in Korea. Trends. We're fairly new in the year, right? Happy New Year to you. I don't know if I said that to you. I don't know if it's too late. Before we move on, what is the latest you can say Happy New Year?
January 31st. That's what I think.
You know what?
You can't go past
like we're on the same page. You can't go past that. But I'm also someone, people are like, after the first week, you shouldn't say Happy New Year.
Nah.
If I haven't seen you in January, let's say up until the 31st, like you said, Happy New Year.
You also have to cover Lunar New Year, which usually happens like late January, early February sometimes. So, past that, I think that's
smart. Done. You know what?
Yeah. I'll let you know when 2024 Lunar New Year is.
Let's change it. It's today, whatever today is.
Yeah.
National Molly Appreciation Day.
Oh, hey.
I just figured it out. I'm like, I appreciate you. Appreciate you on this day. Let's talk about New Year's. You talk about trends.
Yep.
23 is now come and gone.
Yep.
We're now in 24. What are some of the plant trends that you saw in 23 that you hope do not stay in this year? Uh-oh.
This might not be like a just 2023 thing, more a general plant trend.
Okay, what's that?
I'm just not, and I'm speaking from experience because I went through this phase and I fell heavy into the trend and then I like roped it back. Plants that are coveted just because they're like rare and pricey.
Hold on, you think people hold on. So there was okay, I understand the rare plant trend, but you think there was a trend of people just like, I got this plant because it costs this much money? I see that. I understand the trend of like, I got the Tycon because it's on trend and I like the Tycon. Not they were like, shit, mine cost $500. No. How much yours cost?
But no, legit, there are people like that who were like a part of the Hoya craze, especially like that.
Shout out to all my Hoya crew.
I know they're out there, probably coming for me now. But the Hoyas, there are some Hoyas that like aren't cute.
There's many plants that aren't cute. There's many people that aren't cute. But we love them all the same.
Not very aesthetically pleasing, just kind of looks like a regular Hoya, but it's like, Hoya 8434. They haven't even named it yet. And it's like a new species and it's like $800 and then someone buys it. That's
if you have the means to do so, but so be it, right?
Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying. Like, I think I agree in the sense of what I didn't like about the trend of the rare plants is that it did push the price of these plants up so that whenever things are considered valuable, bad characters out there will see a easy buck to make.
Absolutely.
And that's why we have so many plant shops and conservatories
I'm not even
going to
say bad characters because the inflation is natural. If the demand is there, the cost will
No. I'm talking about the bad characters who are breaking into these shops to steal the plants because of the value.
Terrible.
Demand is what it is.
Yeah.
If I'm selling something that I made, who are you to tell me how much I should sell it for?
For sure.
So if the demand is there, sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. But because the demand of having this thing that's now considered rare, a bad character, is what I'm saying, will go, well, I saw one that's in the botanical garden that I don't have to pay to get into.
I'll just snip.
I'm going to go snip. I'm going to this plant shop, snip, and I'll propagate it. And then I'll sell it for X amount of dollars.
Exactly.
Right? So I think that to me was the thing that made it that I've seen make it an ugly business.
Definitely.
Right?
And I think part of that is also plants grow, plants propagate. You can literally turn one plant into 100 plants if you have the patience and the time and the environment. Yeah. And that factors into the pricing too. Like I remember when I first started working at the plant shop, it was very much like, it was a Pilea peperomioides plant. That was so hot and so in right then.
Definitely not a plant that I'm into. Never was. But hey,
cool.
Of course you think they're cool. They're little. They're petite. It's called the sharing plant for a reason. They're really cool. but they're not like you said about the Hoya. It's not a pretty plant.
You don't like the big circular leaves? They look so alien. I guess. Anyway, they were super in demand at that point, and somehow, basically, they were all being like grown and propagated in Amsterdam. So this was a point where everyone was just like importing. Therefore, the price was insane.
Yep.
We were selling 4-inch pots of those, so very small,
they
for
were
like $48.
Hot in the streets, hot.
Yes, but then they were so easy to propagate. So within 6 months, Trader Joe's was selling them for like $7.
Shout out to TJ's. Hey.
Shout out to TJ's, but also, you know, as the small business that was a block and a half from TJ's, people were coming into a shop being like, why are these $48 when they're $7 at TJ's? And it's like,
but why are they $48 in your plant shop when they're $5 at TJ's? That's not a TJ problem.
That is not a TJ problem.
Because that's the thing. I feel like even with the Tycon at this very moment, I think the great equalizer will be when you find them in your local grocery store.
100%.
You know,
they're at every Ace Hardware already.
Shout out to Ace Hardware.
Shout out Ace Hardware. I do love Ace Hardware. They have
some of the best garden centers, I guess, of hardware stores.
Agreed.
Because I think each one,
and they're employee owned.
I was going to say, I think each one is what am I trying to say here? Privately owned. Yeah, I think they're each privately owned. So when they order plants, they are picking them themselves and deciding what they want for their store.
Which is really cool, and then like much more neighborhood and community oriented to like cater to the needs and the wants of that neighborhood.
Yep.
And also, what's really cool with Ace Hardware is that if I own a non-Ace Hardware and Ace Hardware wants to, like, let's say, buy me out, basically I can still own this, just open it under Ace brand, and then also have access to all of Ace's inventory to sell in my shop, as well as whatever else I want to sell.
I love what you're saying. Let's take a small break and throw it to our sponsors. Today's episode is sponsored by Ace Hardware. If you want to find a place to serve or get the things that you need to build your garage tools and nature, Ace is the place.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Implant people.
This
podcast is not sponsored by Ace.
It is not, but
it should be now. I mean, geez, we talked enough about Ace, but I think the thing is, at this point, when you're talking about the idea of that, we talk about bad characters or just that. Hopefully, that trend stays in the last years that it was. Maybe it'll change this year, but I don't see it because there are going to be more rare plants
for sure
that are going to make their way into our orbit, and some of us are going to want them more than others, of course, and then they'll equal out and they'll find them in hardware stores, grocery stores, and your local plant shops. Right, which is great. I think for me, which I always felt was a bad thing, and I hope this is the thing that never comes back in this space, is when you purchase that said very expensive rare plant while having other plants in your home, your appreciation for the less expensive plants kind of falls to the wayside, because you're like, I spent so much on you, I need to put all of my attention, your priorities go to that particular plant. And I think it shouldn't be placed on the value dollar-wise. Agreed. It should be placed on the fact that it is a living life, and you should give it the attention it requires, regardless of the dollar amount you pay for.
I think that really sums up well what I wanted to say, which is like, you shouldn't buy a plant just because everyone wants it and it's in demand. Probably comes with a hefty price tag, but you should get it because it brings you joy. You should get it because you love it. You love looking at it. You can't wait to see it thrive, and you're going to help it do that.
That's what most of us got into this for.
100%.
We enjoy the process of plant shopping. We enjoy the process of repotting and bringing plants in and seeing how they grow and develop. We enjoyed even the process of the challenge, suffering through a plant that wasn't doing so well, and gearing up, deciding to make the transformation and seeing that plant go from
Yes.
losing its leaves to then thriving again.
For sure. And I think plant fails are such a thing. Everyone has some version of it.
You can
because
talk
it is
for
trial and
yourself. You can speak for yourself. I mean, you're not speaking for anyone over a house.
What, you've never killed a plant?
Those who are listening, I'm pointing at myself. Molly, we know, is a documented plants killer. No.
I have killed. I'm proud of that.
Of course. I mean, I would not be proud.
Because I learned a lesson,
Okay.
and then I didn't.
Good.
I usually didn't kill the same plant again unless it was something I really wanted.
Molly, you started this particular episode
with the heart ferns,
shouting out all of the heart ferns that sit
all
in
the
your
hearts
backyard.
I broke.
All the hearts you broke. Straight heartbreaker.
I did.
I like that. Molly, I will say, via social, there are certain things that I just have no time to share. Mm-hmm. And we both know social as a space where it is us in our best light.
Oh, for sure.
For the most part, right? People really sharing that. I've been trying, and I've made this as one of my resolutions. I'm not sure if I said this in the last podcast, but last episodes. It is my goal to share more of myself. I think that's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm going to share more of my attempts to be successful and also my failures,
Definitely.
right? And one of the things that I didn't talk much about was my transition from the greenhouse that I used to shoot a lot of my content in,
Right.
Into our new studio.
Yeah.
And if any of you saw any of the videos that I made about a rubber tree that I had brought into this greenhouse. Now, I had never owned, I never rented, let's say, definitely never owned. I never rented a greenhouse.
Right.
Never had a greenhouse as my studio or my
For
office.
sure.
Right? So I didn't really think about the idea of placing a plant outside or inside of a greenhouse.
Right. So I guess kind of like walk us through this greenhouse
For sure.
situation. It was in Baltimore.
So greenhouse in Baltimore, in the county of Baltimore. It's a regular tunnel is what they call them.
Like plastic
Plastic
with
sides,
filtered light.
with filtered light, all filtered light.
Temp controlled?
Temp controlled.
Great.
And in this particular area of the greenhouse, I had put down stones.
Gravel.
Gravel.
Got it.
And then there is netting or tarp
Under there?
underneath.
Got it.
Right?
And then what's under that?
Soil.
Oh, okay. Straight soil.
The earth
Right.
is right there. You know, and this greenhouse had been used to grow many flowers before I came in.
Yeah.
So I have this large rubber tree. I bring it in. Now, it's not in my home, right? So if it's not in my home, I've placed plants outside of my house before. If they're outside, they're not getting base trays.
Right.
Just
Why
water
would
them.
you? Yeah.
Why would I?
Just let it flow.
Same thought in this greenhouse. It's just the ground's right there. It's going to water out, go right into the ground.
Yeah.
So this was in early January of 23.
How big was your tree then?
It was probably about 7 feet tall.
Okay. So pretty
But
tall.
not pretty tall. It's pretty tall, but manageable. I could easily carry it
Okay.
by myself. I did that in one of the videos when I was styling the greenhouse. So by October, when it was time for me to move out of the greenhouse and into our new studio, me and a friend of mine were about to. I'm like, oh, let's grab the, together.
Yeah,
let's
let's
grab
take
the
this
rubber
plant.
tree. It's much bigger. Let's take it. The plant was like, no, you are not taking
I'm
me.
good.
I'm good. This is where I live
Thanks.
now.
I live here now.
And I'm like, how do you live here now? What's going on under there? And I look, and massive roots had exploded through the drainage hole only. Didn't even crack the pot. Through the drainage hole into the actual soil. So
That's
it made its way
incredible.
through
Yeah.
the stones.
Through the tarp.
the tarp into the earth.
It became one with the
It
earth.
became one with the earth.
It found Mother Earth.
It found it. And it was like, I like it here. And it was gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Thriving. I mean, Molly, there were so many new branches exploding. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
What? This plant loves it in this greenhouse.
Right.
Awesome.
It loves this green.
I did not know it was getting another source of food, of nutrients.
It loves
from
earth.
actual earth. It was like, I'm home. Our plants in our homes aren't living their best lives, but they're living the lives that they can live inside of our spaces
Correct.
with lower light, etc.
Best life Given the conditions and environment we give them. Yes.
Exactly. So, but this rubber tree was living its absolute best. Mm-hmm. It was like, thank you.
I bet.
So
how'd you?
Well, I was moving out of the space.
I know. So what did you do?
Well, for one, I'm moving out of space. I can't leave the tree in this space.
And why would you want to? It's glorious. Why I want
to it is glorious.
Yeah.
It is by far one of the best things I've never had a greenhouse before. So I'm seeing, like I tell everyone, like if you have a greenhouse, like you'll see, if you have that quality of light, humidity, you'll see your plants transform.
For sure.
That's what was happening with this plant. So I was like, that's where I was on two sides of it. Mm-hmm. I felt bad because I was ripping him from this space.
Yeah.
And I knew that would change him. Yeah. Even in like, hey, we gotta leave here. You're going to a place with less light. I got this new studio with a lot of light. It isn't
it can't
a greenhouse.
Compete with the greenhouse.
It can't compete with a greenhouse.
Yeah.
So I was already a little torn up about that. I'm saying, Molly, I get a little, emotional when it comes to my plants. But then when I saw that he had become one with the earth.
Yeah. What could you do?
I have to cut.
You have to literally rip it out from the earth.
Rip it out.
That's so aggressive.
I have to cut his roots. These thick. I've never seen a root system that thick from a house plant.
Crazy.
Let's go back to a house plant.
How thick?
I mean, at least a quarter each root.
Each root?
There were 3 or 4 of them. The size of a quarter, almost like an inch thick roots growing out into the ground. So we cut them. And I'm like, you have to come with me, but like you have to come. I'm sorry. Now I know in any sort of situation when you're bringing a plant from a plant shop into your home, expect some acclimation, some yellowing leaves. Leaves are going to fall off. The cutting of the roots. Now I talk about the idea of repotting the plant. You might have to cut back some of the roots.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that, Molly.
I know.
I'm talking about these small,
teeny,
thin,
tiny
like
little guys,
linguine size root systems.
Yeah,
I'm not talking angel hair pasta. I'm talking, Molly, nothing where you're using loppers. You know what I mean? We're pulling out.
And you can hear it when you go, oh no.
You can hear the plant scream.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's where my heart was. That's where my head was.
But
I'm torn up. But I'm like, all right, I gotta repot this. I have to repot them. But I can honestly say, and I'm gonna share this in the video that we shot, but I felt like I was in a spot where I had no idea what the outcome would be.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
I haven't felt like that since I started bringing plants into my life. Like I was like, I am in no man's land right now. Like I feel so bad because I don't know if this plant will recover from this.
Because it could just die.
It could just die.
When you mess with roots like that, that is not
I don't like messing with roots from a small plant and I'm pulling soil away from it to repot it. To have cut like
severe
root system and then bring it into a space. Obviously, you're already going into a space that doesn't have as much light, doesn't have the humidity for you.
Yep.
So
you did it.
Long story short.
Now long story short?
Long story
now
short.
TLDR? Okay.
Get it to the new studio. And I am waiting to repot it because I need the right size pot.
Right.
And in that time of repotting it, like before I got the pot and then up till I get the pot, I break open the pot, smash the pot open. Because the only way to remove it from the pot is to smash the pot because
the roots are coming out.
Yeah. You can't do anything else. And I repot it. And I'm telling myself, because you also have to do, you have to do this thing. You have to tell yourself, it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. But Molly, I had for at least a week, just like terrible nightmares about this plant dying. I had never had that sort of nightmare before about one particular plant. Like that. There was one other situation where I used to have a studio called Jungle by the Falls, which I would style and then I would have people rent it. I had some sort of nightmares about, because when you're allowing people to rent a space, your space, and you don't see what they're doing in there, I had these nightmares that people were like pouring stuff into my pots to kill my plants because they didn't like me. Right? They were like, well, let's Hilton.
Unpack that.
Hey, if I can get some free therapy, I will.
That's intense.
Yes. So I would have these thoughts at night. What are they called? Nightmares. That people were trying to sabotage my plants or my life by killing my favorite fiddly fig in the studio, which was treasus, by pouring things into it. But that's just like a natural thing.
Yeah.
Like I have friends who own restaurants and they'll tell me how, people are pouring tequila into their pots because they're like, I want to taste that. They'll just take whatever's in their glass and just dump it in the pot next to them, right? Because that the things that you care for in your home, you care for in your home. Once you're out in the world, people are like, I don't care. This isn't my plant.
Exactly. They don't have the same value.
They don't have the same value. So for me, I freaked out about this plant because I just didn't know if it would happen. And I took that stuff with me. And that's the stuff that I don't like when I have to bring that sort of stress home.
For sure.
But I do have to say this to make everyone feel better.
What?
It made me feel better. He's loving life again.
Woo!
He is back. Obviously, there was all the leaf loss that I expected.
Was it a lie?
I expected through acclimation. I expected through acclimation, but then I expected just like, oh no, he's just in shock, like real shock.
Yeah.
It stopped. New growth started to happen
after you repotted.
After repotting, and then all of the leaves. There was when a plant is suffering, a lot of the leaves kind of go limp.
Definitely.
Everything is upright and
perked up.
It perked. He's like, incredible. I am fully like amazed. I really felt that this was an act of selfishness on my part.
Yeah.
I probably could have just said to the owner of the greenhouse, hey,
can this just live here?
You have a new friend.
Yeah, enjoy.
But if I would have done that, hear me out, they would now have to always keep that greenhouse heated.
That is true, just for that plant.
Just for that plant.
And you can't ask them to do that. You can't ask them to.
So it would have to move. And
you did the right thing.
Thank you.
And it's thriving.
And now it is thriving.
That's what's so cool.
And that to me, when I talk about this, I go, hey man, that's real plant parenting.
Definitely.
You go through it because I've only had a child for 2 years and I've gone through it. I've had some nightmares about my child.
Yeah.
And seeing her thrive and grow and all these different things. You're just going to go through these things. And as people who love plants, like those, that's a part of it.
Definitely.
Right? The down period where you're like, I am screwing this up.
Yeah.
But then to not give up on it and to continue.
That's exactly the part, is like not giving up, learning your lesson and trying not to repeat that mistake again. And I think for me, my first plant and the only plant I've ever named, and I've never named any of my other plants.
What kind of plant? What was the name?
It was an aloe plant named Wanda. And she was lovely.
Why Wanda?
I don't know. She just looked like a Wanda. It just spoke to me.
What does a Wanda look like to you?
My aloe plant. I'll show you a picture.
Okay. All right.
And Wanda was great, living happily in my sad but north-facing window at the time. And then I was like, you know what? She needs a bigger pot. I think she wants more room. And then I put her in a pot way too big. I moved her like 10 feet away from my window because I had no space for it on my windowsill. And I was watering it every single day because she looked thirsty to me. She looked thirsty. Which is crazy. And for those of you who don't know, proper aloe care is lots and lots of light right in the window. And sometimes that's not even enough. And watering maybe once or twice a month.
And you talked about being a helicopter parent and you were like, I
learned. I've been evolving.
Goodness.
And so I did that. And one day I came home and I was like going up to Wanda. I'm like, hi. I pet it. And the entire thing just flopped.
Not it. You pet her.
I pet her. And then she just fell over because she had root rot and she was no longer connected to the rest of the pot or the plants or the soil. She had just rotted. But the best part is then I looked up how to take care of this plant, right? Then I was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong.
Hold on. But the best part of this story is and then I looked up how to care for the plant.
That's my learning point. Now I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have put it in a bigger pot. I shouldn't have moved it away from the window. I shouldn't have been watering it so frequently. I changed all of that. I put her in the right soil. I gave her the right care. She came back for me. Not only that, she created a baby, Wandita. And now,
Wandita.
Yeah. So now I had Wanda and Wandita, and she taught me everything. And I was like, oh, it is important for me to know how to take care of this one plant so that I can give it what it needs so that it'll not only live, but thrive and make more plants.
Friends, if you needed a takeaway, that is it right there. And I hope you've learned from Molly's trial and error is to know what type of plant you have going in and what it needs right away.
For sure.
So that you don't have a Wanda situation on your hands.
Yep. And if you appreciate it, it'll appreciate you. And not only on Houseplant Appreciation Day. I
love that. Now, I want to end with one last question.
Yep.
What did the ficus say to the succulent?
What?
Aloe?
Stop. Oh my God.
It was, you know what? It was worth it. It was worth it. I hope it was worth it to all of you out there. Oh, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hello?
Hello.
Good.